Aionwadha made sure Mother and great-grandmother had all the ash splints and quills they would need, and then he ran out to join the other children. He hurled his snow snake to glide along the snow track, hoping to get stronger and stronger. And he built caves and tunnels in the snow and followed the tracks of the little winter visitors, while elder brother Sun made a quick journey to the top of the sky. Aionwadha played. But as he played in the early winter snow, Aionwadha kept an eye on the palisade gates. He kept an ear on the distant sounds. Soon he heard what he was listening for, and in a flash he was at the gate, helping Father carry the deer back towards the longhouse. One after another, children ran to help their fathers bring in the deer and bear to the Turtle Clan longhouse. The hunting had been a success, and there would be meat for the winter. As Father walked in, he tousled Aionwadha's hair. "Not just meat, my son. We shall have skins for new leggings for you, and capes for Mother and great-grandmother." Aionwadha smiled, excited at the thought of new leggings. But Father had not said anything about a toenail rattle. Aionwadha was a big boy now, he was sure, and he was ready for leg rattles of his own. His smile faded and he looked down. Then Father let out a big laugh and patted Aionwadha's head. "Yes, son, there will be plenty of toenails to make rattles for you. Tomorrow we will begin preparing the deer, but now it is time for fires and food." Aionwadha ate with a smile in his heart, and then at last it was time for more stories. And the voice of great-grandmother came, and in no time at all everyone was gathered around, and Aionwadha continued. Now that the people could not talk with one another anymore, each of the different communities headed off to find its own place to make a home. Before too long, each one had settled into its own place, its own nation. The people set out to plant the fields, and the 3 sisters grew tall and full in each village. The carrots and turnips reached deep into Mother Earth and grew full and round. The people harvested and held the ceremonies, and in each village the people gathered to give thanks for all they had received. But as time passed, people grew old, and over time, some began to die. And from time to time, others got sick and died. Those who survived fell into deep mourning, and the sadness did not leave them for a full year. Through the seasons, they mourned. Many of the crops went unharvested, and only the animals of the fields feasted. The wood was not gathered, and the longhouses grew cold and bleak. The sweet water was left inside the old maple trees, and the changing of the moon went unnoticed. Even the strawberries were left for the bears. The fields lay fallow, and the people did almost nothing but grieve. Finally, the year of mourning was over, and the people set out to tend their gardens and to offer thanks once again. But families were growing and communities were growing, so soon someone was dying every year, and one season of mourning ran right into the next. It became harder and harder for the people to take care of themselves, and they didn't have time to do the ceremonies and give thanks. The people grew sadder and angrier until all they wanted to do was fight. This could not go on. So the elders called a meeting to try to figure out what to do. They had one meeting and then another meeting, but they did not have any ideas. Then they had another and another, but still nobody had any good ideas. They could not stop the people from growing old or getting sick and dying. They could not stop the mourning. What could they do? One day a young man spoke up. Everybody was surprised because this young man never said a word to anyone. People didn't know he could talk. So when he did start to talk, everybody wanted to hear what he had to say. I've been looking for an answer too. I have looked and listened to all that has been said here, but I saw there was no answer here. So I looked around at everything else the Creator made. The young man said, I looked first to the waters. I can see that through the twins, the Creator has made all kinds of waters. He's made lakes, he's made creeks, he's made rivers, and he's made oceans. They are all different, but they are all water. And then I look to the plants that grow on the earth, and I see the Creator has made many different plants. The Creator made the birds like this too. Some of them are called eagles, others are called blackbirds, and there are robins and crows. But they are all birds. They all lay eggs. They all have feathers and eat insects and seeds. They all follow the same traditions, but each one has its own way of living and its own name. The wind is like that too, he said. It's all divided up. The cold wind comes from the north. The warm wind comes from the south. The wet wind comes from the west, and the no planting wind from the east. They are all wind, but they are different. This is how the Creator made the world to work. So people should be like this too. We should divide up into different working groups with different names and different jobs. Though we all may look different, we are all people. Everyone was so surprised at what this man had said. They were surprised that he had said anything, and they were surprised that it made such good sense. So they gave him a name, He Who Has Great Ideas. It made sense, but they did not know how to do it. So He Who Has Great Ideas told the people that everyone should prepare to travel the next morning. The next morning, He Who Has Great Ideas started walking, and all the people started following him. He walked until he came to a river, and he saw a grapevine hanging down. And he threw one end of the vine across the river to where it caught on a tree on the other side. Holding onto the vine, he began crossing the river, and he called to the people to follow him. The people began to follow, but when only half of them had crossed, the vine let go. So now, half the people were on one side of the river with He Who Has Great Ideas, and the other half were left behind. He told the people on his side of the river, "Tomorrow, pay close attention to everything and keep an eye out for anything unusual. You women, you who are the oldest in the family, you be especially watchful." The next morning, one of the oldest women got up very early to give thanks to the Creator for the beautiful day. And when she was done, she went down to the river to get some cooking water. And by the river, she saw a deer standing there looking at her. Later on that day, He Who Has Great Ideas asked the old woman if she had seen anything unusual. "Well," she said, "when I was getting water at the stream, I looked up and there was a deer. It didn't run away. It just stood there, staring at me." "Then from now on," said He Who Has Great Ideas, "you and all your family will belong to the deer clan. You will carve the image of a deer into some bark and place it on the front of your house. And all will know that you and all your children and your daughter's children for all generations are dear clan. The next day, a different woman from another family got up and gave thanks to the Creator, and then went down to the river to fetch cooking water. And there she saw a bear. It stood up on its hind legs and looked at her. And later on that day, he who has great ideas asked the old woman if she had seen anything unusual. "Why, yes," she said. "I saw this bear." And he who has great ideas told her that from then on, everyone in her family would belong to the Bear Clan. "You will carve the image of a bear into some bark and place it on the front of your house, and all will know that you and all your children and all your daughter's children for all generations are Bear Clan." The next morning, another old woman saw a hawk and another an eel, and from then on there was a hawk clan and an eel clan. "You will carve the image of an eel into some bark and place it on the front of your house, and you a hawk, and all will know that you and all your children and your daughter's children for all generations are eel or hawk clan." "Now each of your families has his own clan," said he who has great ideas, "and each of your 4 clans will have elders and mothers and fathers and children. The wisest grandmother shall be in charge of each clan, and she will be in charge of choosing a chief to lead. Deer, bear, eel, and hawk, each shall work like this. Each shall be different, and all shall be the same. You will have your clan, but your clans all together will all make one big group. One side of the river. Deer, bear, eel, and hawk will make one group, as you are all one group on this side of the river. Now I must see the others." Then he who has great ideas got to them, and he told them, "You must pay close attention to everything, and keep an eye for anything unusual. You women who are the oldest in the family, you be especially watchful." The next morning, one of the old women, got up early and gave thanks to the Creator. When she was through dipping water, she looked up, and there was a wolf, standing very still and silent and staring at her. She told he who has great ideas about this, and he said, "From now on, you and all members of your family will belong to the Wolf Clan." In the next 3 days, 4 other old women saw animals beside the river, and so they and their families became the clans of the beaver, the turtle, the snipe, and the heron. And he who has great ideas explained to each of them, just as he had to the others across the river, that all the children would belong to their mother's clan, and that all those of the beaver, turtle, wolf, heron, and snipe would make up one side of the river, and those of deer, bear, eel, and hawk the other. The people were glad to have their clans, but how would this help? When the times of mourning came, they wondered. Then he who has great ideas spoke, as if he heard their worry. "It is time for the 2 sides of the river to come together, and I will explain it to you."